You know, at 75, I thought I had seen every kind of betrayal a person could commit. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day my brand new daughter-in-law showed up at my door, still wearing the same smug lipstick she had at the wedding, accompanied by a notary and a stack of documents, and announced, as casually as if she were discussing the weather, "We need you to sign over the house. It's ours now." Little did she know, I might be old, but I am not weak. And this house? Well, this house has secrets she knew nothing about. So if you want to hear how a 75-year-old widow turned the tables on a gold-digging daughter-in-law and taught her that greed has consequences, sit down. Because this story, it gets dark. It gets emotional. And it ends with her losing everything she came to steal. My name is Diana, 75 years old, retired history teacher, widow of a man who loved me for 50 beautiful years. I live alone now in the house my husband and I built with our own hands. Every brick carries a memory, every corner a story. It's not a mansion. Just a big, cozy, slightly old house filled with warmth. And yes, a decent amount of land. The kind of place people look at and think, well, someone's going to inherit something nice. But I never imagined that my son, Matthew, would marry someone who would try to rip it right from under me while my tea was still warm. Matthew is 43, soft-hearted, hard-working, and far too eager to please. He met Elena, my future tormentor, at some corporate event. Beautiful girl, I'll give her that. Shiny hair, a permanent perfect smile, that kind of overly sweet voice that sounds like sugar hiding poison. The first time she visited, I noticed small things. Her eyes scanning the living room, calculating, measuring, not admiring, calculating. But Matthew was happy. So I smiled too. Ah, the things we do for our children. The wedding was beautiful. Fake, but beautiful. People think old age makes you oblivious. No, it gives you X-ray vision. I saw the way she clung to him. Not lovingly, possessively. Like he was a winning lottery ticket. During dinner, I overheard her whisper to her mother. Once the house is in our name, we'll sell it and move to the city. I'm not living in some old woman's leftovers house. Our name, sell it, my fork froze midair. My first instinct was anger. My second was amusement. See, Elena didn't know something important. The ownership of this house was not simple at all. And it definitely wasn't going to be hers. I decided to stay quiet. For now. Because revenge is sweeter when the other person thinks they've already won. 2 days after the wedding, I was sitting in my kitchen, sipping chamomile tea, looking out over the backyard where my husband and I once planted blueberry bushes. Then the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw Elena, standing proudly like a queen returning to claim a kingdom. Behind her stood a notary and Matthew, looking like someone had told him to stand there or else. Diana, she began brightly, we have some paperwork for you to sign. Paperwork. She said it like she was asking me to pass the salt. The notary stepped forward with a polite nod and a leather folder. Elena's smile widened. It's just the property transfer forms. Nothing complicated. Since you're older now, it's best if Matthew and I take ownership. For your safety, of course. My safety, I repeated, yes. You don't want anything to happen with probate and inheritance issues. It's stressful. We're just trying to help. I looked at Matthew, my son. I asked calmly, is this what you want? He didn't meet my eyes. She said it's better. For everyone. Ah. She had him wrapped around her manicured little finger. I stepped aside and said, come in. Their smiles brightened. They thought they'd won. How adorable. I led them to the living room, the room with the heavy oak table my husband built. It's where we signed our will. It's also where we hid certain documents. Documents Elena wouldn't expect. Please, sit, I said. The notary placed the transfer papers before me, tapping the signature line. A pen slid across the table toward my hand. Elena leaned forward, voice syrupy sweet. After this is done, we'll take care of everything. You can live here until. You know. You need more help. Oh? And where would I go after that? I asked. She shrugged. We'll figure something out. She meant a nursing home. Probably a cheap one. I smiled gently. Well, before I sign anything, I have something to show you. I stood up, opened the drawer of the oak table, and pulled out a thick envelope. The same envelope my husband and I prepared 10 years earlier when we realized Matthew was too trusting for his own good. I laid the envelope on the table like a royal flush in a poker game. Elena, I said, before you marry someone for their house, you should check who actually owns it. Her smile slipped. What do you mean? She asked. I opened the envelope. Inside was the legal title, stamped and notarized. And on that title, Matthew's name. And my name. Joint ownership. With survivorship rights. Meaning, when my husband died, the house passed to me alone. Meaning, Matthew would only inherit it after I die, not before, and not if I choose otherwise. Meaning, he had no authority to transfer anything. And certainly not to his greedy wife. The color drained from her face. The notary frowned. This changes things, he muttered. Oh, I'm not done, I said gently. I pulled out the second document. A new will I had updated 3 months ago. In this will, I continued, I have left the house not to Matthew, not to Elena, but to a children's literacy charity. Matthew's head shot up. Mother, what? You see, I said, I suspected long ago that someone might try to take advantage of my kindness. So I made sure no one could steal this home. If anyone tried, I tapped the will. The house goes to charity instead. Elena stared at me like I had slapped her. And then, beautifully, she snapped. This is manipulative. She screeched. You can't do this. You owe it to family. Family? I asked quietly. Then maybe you should have acted like family. The notary closed his folder. I'm afraid she cannot sign anything today. Or ever, unless she chooses. This house is legally hers. Elena stormed out. Matthew followed, torn between his wife and his shame. I sat back down, finished my tea, and waited. Because I knew this wasn't over. For weeks, silence. Then the arguments began. I heard through neighbors, through small-town whispers. Elena blamed Matthew for not getting the house. Matthew blamed Elena for pushing. Their marriage was already cracking. But I wasn't satisfied yet. She wanted my house, time to show her that greed is expensive. I contacted an attorney, an old student of mine, now a brilliant real estate lawyer. Together, we drafted a formal notice. Elena and Matthew were banned from stepping foot on the property without invitation. Any attempts to coerce, intimidate, or pressure me into property transfer would result in legal action for elder exploitation. And we sent copies to Elena. Matthew, Elena's parents. Her employer. Yes. Her employer. Because she had bragged about being a financial planner. Imagine how that looks when someone's accused of manipulating a senior for property gain. She tried to deny everything. But her mother, bless her loose lips, confirmed she had discussed getting the house for months. Elena was temporarily suspended, her career dented. Next, I took Matthew to lunch. Just him and me. No accusations. No yelling. Just a quiet question. Are you happy, son? He broke. He admitted she pressured him. That she constantly talked about inheritance. That she laughed at the idea of an old woman living alone in a big house, calling it a waste. I didn't tell him to divorce her. I simply asked, is that the future you really want? That night, he moved back into his apartment. A week later, he filed for separation. Elena, raging like a wasp kicked out of a honey jar, came to my house again. This time without a notary. She stood outside the gate screaming. This is my house. It should have been mine. I simply walked to the gate, smiled, and held up my phone recording everything. Thank you, I said. For what? She spat. For evidence. I sent the recording to her employer and attached it to my attorney's file. She was fired the same week. Her marriage collapsed. Her reputation collapsed. Her carefully constructed facade evaporated. She wanted my house? She lost hers, metaphorically and literally. Matthew apologized. He went to therapy. He rebuilt his life. And eventually, he understood I was protecting him, not punishing him. As for me, I rewrote my will again. The house will now go to Matthew, after my passing, if and only if he never again attempts to pressure me or let another woman manipulate him. There's a clause for everything. My husband always said I was too meticulous. Well, sometimes meticulous saves your sanity. People think old age weakens you. But what they forget is, age sharpens your instincts, hardens your wisdom, and strengthens your spine. Elena came into my life thinking I was a frail old widow she could bulldoze. She underestimated something powerful, not my money. Not my property. My experience. She thought she was playing chess with a pawn. She didn't realize she was up against a queen who had survived storms she couldn't imagine. And that house she wanted so desperately, I still wake up in it every morning. I still drink my tea watching the sunrise over the garden. I still walk through the hallways filled with memories. And the best part? I walk them peacefully. Because sometimes revenge isn't destroying someone. Sometimes it's simply making sure they lose everything they tried to steal, while you lose nothing at all.